They'll message me at 30 seconds. And basically, I'll just start talking and then I'll introduce you. And then when you're done talking, you can just, cut your screen off. I don't know if they cut out or whatever. You can hang up if you want. It doesn't affect one way or another, whatever your day looks like.
Great. Okay, cool.
He's messaging me now. He said we can start.
Okay, great.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to The Smile. My name is Joe Mittiga. I'm here from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm really excited to have my new guest on, Bronson Hill. And we just want to welcome everybody. I want to take a little bit of time to update everybody on what we've been doing and what The Smile is all about. Basically, The Smile, people have asked me, why are you doing it, Joe? And I say, it feels good. But they say, what is it really about? You had 44,000 people on your last live stream. I said, it's about creating a smile. And they say, what is it really about? And I'm like, it's about creating a smile. And simple but profound. And we'll get more into that later. Basically, I had a really powerful experience coming back from South Africa. I see a need. We created an online platform called projectsmile.world. And Project Smile is a free educational website for anybody that wants it. We've had a couple of very large organizations now that we're advertising there completely free. So visit us, projectsmile.world, and get what you can out of it. Education from math, reading in all different languages. And we have career modules to help people basically take their careers to the next level. My whole belief is that if we can educate and empower people, then we as the generation of change can help people change and empower their lives. Well, part of our mission every 2 weeks, we do this on the 1st and the 10th, or the 1st and the 15th at 10 a.m., is to have an inspirational speaker, somebody who's had success in their life, and to talk to everybody kind of how they do it and what's their focus. And Bronson and I now have become friends over these past couple of months. I was actually on Bronson's podcast himself, and he's given me his time this morning. So Bronson, welcome to The Smile. And, like I was telling you earlier, we'll just kind of share your story with the world. And we'll just kind of go from there. No real agenda.
Sounds great. Hey, Joe, really good to be here. Excited everybody around the world to be able to connect. Yeah, just love the difference that Project Smile is making in the world, right? It's actually just how can we help people to experience joy? How can we help them to experience a better life? And I think that's why you and I, Joe, connected so much, right? Is that we have this spirituality background, this background of, what's God doing in the world, and how can we be an instrument of His to go and spread love and spread life? And so a bit of my story is I'm a business guy. I started in the business world and started a business about 5 years ago in investing and helping people to get passive income, cash flow, things like that. And, one of the things that's really transformed my life, and I've just looked back and say, wow, how is, sometimes, we say, hey, we've been grinding for a long time, but then you get a breakthrough and something changes, and all of a sudden you show up to the world differently, and the world kind of interacts with you in a different way. And so I've watched that a number of times in my life where it's kind of been said that luck, the feeling of luck where just, chance happens, but it's where preparation meets opportunity, right? So the idea of just learning and growing from great programs like this and other ones. And of course, Joe, you had the amazing TED Talk that you did where there's a lot of people can gather from inspiration in that. And so for me, being able to really grow my business, grow my personal life, and be able to find a way to really add value to the world. And I think there was a big shift that happened for me a number of years ago where I learned instead of just focusing on what I need, I think one of the challenges that is out there, and I think it's a universal law that's out in nature and in the world, is that if we simply focus on what we want and what we need, sometimes we don't always get what we want and what we need. But if we focus on what other people need, what other people want, and we help them, it can open up so many doors. And there's a quote by a guy named Zig Ziglar, who was a motivational speaker years ago. And he said, you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. Right. So the idea is if I can just be somebody who's there serving first, and I've had examples of this. that doors have just absolutely opened. So I'll give an example. I was on an investor meetup. So I went on this, I was actually on a cruise, which is a big boat with lots of people there, and it was expensive to go. And there was a guy there that was, I thought, man, I've gotten so much value from this person. And normally I would go up and say, hey, would you mentor me? Would you help me? Would you, coming with my need? But I kind of had a reframe. And I said, instead of that, let me just see if I can go. And instead of asking, hey, can I help you? I thought, well, let me think about his business. And maybe there's this one specific way that I could show up and I could help him. And so I showed up and I asked him, and at first he kind of blew me off. He's a very busy guy, but he came back to me and said, hey, let's meet a little bit later in the day. So we met, and it created this beautiful partnership, and it about 10x'd my income over that next couple of years, right? So it's something that when we show up, it's just kind of that give to others as you have them give to you, right? Show up and be the change in the world you want to be. And some of these doors can really open. So that's one story I thought was really impactful, but I know there's a lot we could talk about, but I just wanted to share that story because, again, a lot of times I know for me, I can start with, gosh, I need to pay the bills at home, or I need to get this thing done in my career. I need to help my kids. But if I could just simply show up and put myself in someone else's shoes, even when I don't have a lot, and just say, can I help and can I serve this person? It's just amazing what doors can open.
That's awesome. Bronson, you and I were talking earlier, and not in detail, but you talked about kind of reframing things sometimes. Angst of the past, and not in detail, but angst of the past can be reframed because what happened in the past still affects us today. And, we've got a lot of people out there, myself included. I mean, I can't say it now. I live a great life now. You'd have seen me 30 years ago, almost homeless, no money, just hurting all the time. And, our audience out there, again, we're from around the globe, and I don't really know who's on here today. Some people are in great places. Some people are in just really challenging places. And our hope is to kind of help them go from where they were to where they can be. Talk about the whole concept that you've been learned and you teach out there about reframing. Maybe a challenge of the past so it doesn't haunt you, in detail, and kind of put it in the context, not to share personal if you don't want to, but just put it in the context of how people can use that concept.
Yeah, I'm happy to share personally. One thing I've learned, just as you said, is that what's happened in the past can really affect how we see ourselves in the present and how we look at ourselves in the future. So I would say, this happened in my life, or these are things people said around me, or my family says that I am. And therefore I just be like looking at these future opportunities or look at these amazing things other people do. And I would immediately discount myself. And I say, I could never do that, right? That's not me. I just could never be that person. But what I realized is that a lot of that is simply a story that we make up about ourselves, right? It's not something physical, tangible. It's that, I could never speak in front of a crowd, or, I could never have that kind of job, or I could never be in this type of relationship. And it's basically ourselves, we limit ourselves because we haven't been that way in the future. And I will give a personal example of this I was sharing earlier. When I was 5 years old, I was walking home from school where I lived in the Midwest of the U.S. And as I was walking, I had my little teddy bear backpack. I was this, cute kid walking home. These kids that were older than me came and they pulled my pants down to embarrass me. And basically the girls behind me, they laughed, right? So this is my classmates, they laughed. And I was very young. At 5 years is very young. But for me at the time, of course, I was surprised and I was, terrified. And what happened was, these kids came and pulled my pants down. It was embarrassing. But what I made it mean was, I'm not okay. The world's not safe. People are laughing at me, right? So as I got older, and this happened when I was 5 years old, and so we have these things that happen, and then they don't happen one time, but they tell a story to us about who we are and our value and our worth and how we see ourselves in the future. So every time something bad would happen, or I'd be in a certain situation, I'd be triggered, and that just means I would have an automatic reaction to something that, the world's not safe. I'm not okay, and it would really limit how I would show up in certain things. So I'd be timid, I'd be shy, I'd be very cautious. And even as an adult, this would happen. Now, it wasn't something I would consciously say, I'm going to be shy, I'm going to be timid, to be cautious. It was an automatic reaction from this other thing. But once I realized this, Joe, is that these were two separate things, right? We put these together in our mind that okay, this is what actually happened. These kids that were a little older than me, they pulled my pants down to embarrass me. That's what, or whatever reason they did, they pulled the pants down and the girls behind me laughed. But what I made it mean was, I'm not okay. Those are two completely separate things. So once I realized that the story around it was actually made up, it wasn't actually real, it wasn't actually true, it was something that doesn't exist in real space. It's just a story that I told myself. I started to realize there were a lot of things like that in my life, Joe, that I could actually start to peel back and say, oh, well, that's not actually true, right? And the world may not actually be unsafe. It may not be that I have to walk around cautious and embarrassed, whatever. So as I started to pull it back, I realized there were so many things in my life that I was making up as stories that limited how I showed up. And so for me now, I realize I have a blank slate, and I actually can take, not from the past, I can actually create what I want to. I can create a new possibility in the future that's never existed, and I can show up as that person. And I'm really inspired by you, Joe, because you do this. You show up as that person who's creating this incredible change in the world, reaching tens of hundreds of thousands of people with your work. And so I think it's super inspiring that for any of us, from any background, no matter where we come from in the world, we can show up and be who we want to be in that situation, right? And it just is something that you watch. How do people do great things is they do this personal work where they really get into how do I actually create this new person that's inspirational.
Bronson, obviously, I always say we have more money than month. I mean, that's just the facts. We do. Probably wasn't that way your whole life. Is it true? Have you found it to be true that people that end up creating larger places of wealth or do more impact in the world tend to work hard? Or is it luck? Is there not a consistent bridge across 99% of everybody that, has more today? It's because they work really hard. How would you frame that in your world?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say this. It's been said, I do a lot of inspirational work and I would say personal development. There's a term called self-help or personal development. And there's a quote. I'm a quote guy. I love quotes. But it says that your success in life will never exceed your level of personal development. Your success in life will never exceed your level of personal development or the work that you do on yourself. And so I think that there's an idea of being a hard worker, and I think that's great. And a lot of us, we all know, and we know people that work super hard, and yet they don't get ahead financially or in relationships. No, they just kind of grind. So I think that there is a point, though, where it's saying, I want to work on myself, or I want to be somebody who shows up in a room and it already is positive, already is confident, already has a plan for how they're going to, impact others and how they're going to, no matter how somebody responds, I'm going to show up with joy. I'm going to show up with love. And if, some of the great teachings, if somebody slaps you, turn the other cheek, right? Like being somebody who's willing to kind of show up. And we talked about faith, just what does God want in this situation? What does he want me to do here? And I think when you do that, you really kind of align yourself with the divine purpose that there's more than just what I'm seeing right now, right? There's something that even if I don't understand why I went through a difficult relationship, why I lost a job at some point, why something bad happened, that somehow God uses all this stuff to make me a better person. And I know, you and I, we've had some life experience, we've been around for a while, and, we've gone through challenges. Everybody who's lived for a while just has gone through probably some serious challenges. But again, I have the firm belief that life happens for us and it doesn't happen to us, right? If life's happening to me, then I'm a victim and I'm powerless, right? If life is happening for me, then every little thing, every big thing, every challenge, every obstacle is actually making me stronger and is getting me closer to my purpose. And I firmly believe that, Joe. I firmly believe that all these things, these challenges are actually making it so that, when I went through a serious challenge relationally or in a job or losing a job, it was the end of the world when it happened. It felt like, oh my gosh, how can I ever bounce back from this? But over time, as I see the purpose and I see that I actually became a better person, I learned some things that really into my personal development and working on the things in myself. How do I be perseverant And then what happened is I just started to see again these new possibilities open up, and then I had more things I could relate. You talk about to your purpose is just help someone else. Find a way to take your story and let that impact someone else. I have a friend who says, things don't happen to us just for ourselves; they actually happen also for other people. Right? We can actually use those stories to inspire someone who's going through a difficult time as well. So there's this huge connection between me saying yes to the challenge, to the invitation that I think God puts in front of us of like, hey, here's something here. You don't have to learn this now, but if you do learn it, you'll get progress. You'll be able to grow. You'll be able to have, other benefits from it. It could be relational, could be financial, could be other things. And if you don't get it, it'll come around again, probably in the future. So you have another chance to get it, the same lesson. Sometimes I've had to go through things 2 or 3 times or more until I actually said, oh, here's the lesson. I've got it. But again, it's that idea of life happening for us and not to us.
Smile. People have asked me, and I get messages quite a bit like, what is my religious belief? And here's my religious belief to everybody who's watching. There's one monolithic God. There's one God, and it transcends all religion. I don't come across from a position of religion. I say to everybody, that's up to you. Each person has their style, their beliefs, their method of connecting to this God of their understanding. And that's how I say to people all the time, however you get there, that's up to you. But what you do with it is up to what we're trying to talk about here. How do you interact with God on a daily basis or a minute to minute and move into those next places? So if you had I don't know a lot about your background, but my sense is today you have a much grander connection with God than you probably did 20 years ago. Can you kind of explain to people out there? Because again, a lot of people, it doesn't matter their age. They might be brand new in the idea of, this was me years ago. If God loved me, I wouldn't be in this vacant basement, living on a 2-inch mattress. If God loved me, I wouldn't be, sick. Or if God loved me. And it took me a long time to realize that God loved me and God gave me the strength and courage to move forward, even though I was in these really dark places. So for the person who's on the call somewhere around the globe, their life is challenging. They wake up every day and they want to believe that. Now, I'll put it another way. Everybody on this call believes there's a God. I think most people are trying to figure out, how can I create that relationship? How can I use God to move my world in a different place? So if you can kind of tell us your transition from,
or watching us had some of those moments. But I think it really comes back to, and I do think that God looks at life very differently than the way we do. I would always choose comfort, right? I want to have, comfort in my finances, my relationships, things in my life, my health, all the things. But I think that God really chooses character. And sometimes, I don't understand it. That's why, we talk about God. I think God is the most powerful, mysterious force in the universe. And there are people through religious ways that try to say, here's what God's like. It's like, in one way, God is, I believe he's knowable. Like there's ways we can know who God is by observing and watching and participating. But there's ways that God is unknowable, right? Like he's this mysterious, powerful force that fills the universe in every way. And it's as far, you look at stars are 13 billion light years away. It takes 13 billion years for the light to reach here. And stars only live for my life now. I'm 44 years old. I look back and I think the areas where I experienced the most profound growth and the most profound character development and the most profound serious challenges where I didn't know how I was going to make it through it. Right. And so sometimes we have that, oh no moment but by walking through that and really kind of, continuing, we don't necessarily get it at the time, but we look back and we say, wow, I can actually see why that happened. I can see why a relationship didn't work out. I can see why I lost a bunch of money in a business deal. I can see why this didn't, I had a plan. And there's a saying that, life is what happens while you're making other plans, right? You're busy making other plans. And it's just so true that everybody's life kind of goes, you can't see the future, but you can see the past. And so you have to have some reflection on that. But I think for anyone there, if you reframe everything instead of just that, life is beating you up, right? You're someone and you're getting, almost attacked by the cares of life, is there any way to reframe it as a challenge? And the tougher the challenge, the more of a blessing on the other side, the more growth, the more positive that you're going to be able to create. Because I mean, you and I, we've met people, you're one of them, Joe, but we'll have people we meet that they've got something they share with the world, and it's impactful and it's so much larger than them. And a lot of times it comes through the most difficult things they've ever been through.
What would you like to tell people? What is your bigger message? What is it when I have you back on here in a few months? You're gonna say to people, I've been living what I've been talking. What advice, what wisdom would you share with anybody listening here? Somebody that's brand new, somebody like myself who's been around this world of having God interacting every day for a while. What would be your message in close to everybody listening here today?
I think it would be really look at the world as an opportunity to serve, look at the world as an opportunity to help others. And I think just that quote, you can have everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And I think that, when we really serve others, it comes back to us in so many ways. And so I think it's just getting that priority straight. If we only look to what we want first, we're going to end up empty, right? We've seen this with people that are takers in life versus if I'm somebody or, somebody watching is somebody that shows up in a room full of people and they're known as somebody who's a giver, known as somebody who wants to listen to others, known as somebody who wants to help and is helping in the ways they can. And they just have space for people. Everybody wants to work with somebody like that. Everybody wants to do business with somebody like that. Everybody wants to have somebody like that around as a friend or as a family member because they're constantly saying, how can I help you? How can I be in a place? And to be honest, Joe, it's the most fun thing in the world because you get to see yourself. You get excited to get up each day because you don't know what opportunity is going to be around. And it's addicting. It's addictive to be in a place where you're actually a helper. You're somebody who's out there and oh my gosh, I wonder what's going to happen today. And then you come from that place of excitement. And then it's amazing what doors open. And it doesn't make logical sense. And that's why I share it. But I've watched it again and again and again in my own life. So for those watching, I really hope for you, that's my thought and hope and prayer for you, is that you find that place that you want to serve, that you can make that difference in the world in a small way, in a big way, whatever way it is that you're showing up saying, hey, I want to help, I want to serve, because I think it will really open so many doors and just a different perspective around life for you.
Bronson, thank you. I so appreciate it. First time for everybody listening. It was the first time I've heard Bronson's story like that. No wonder we're becoming pretty good friends. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your time, and we will definitely have you back to share on the Smile. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
So, Bronson is just this amazing guy. I met him. I was introduced to him. I was on one of his podcasts, a business podcast. Well, if I'm talking about God and how God interacts in my life. I just am. And, he talks about giving back and bringing that place of service. Well, everything I talk about is how we are the generation of change. And that generation of change, what it means is that we're all starting to understand we are multidimensional beings. My book that I have back here over my shoulder called We, which will be out on the bookshelves and out online here in the next month or so, it talks about multidimensional. And what does that mean? It means there's a higher us, a human self, and an inner self. And that inner self so very often is the part of ourselves that when we were traumatized years ago or when we're in a difficult time now, we frame our tomorrow as if it has to be like our yesterday. And the truth is it doesn't. Hard work and perseverance and consistency really helps to change that. And from a higher perspective, the God, I believe that we all connect through God, to God, the same God, through our higher self, which is inside of us. All religions talk about a spirit that's inside. And I always want to transcend religion because everybody is welcome here. I am not the type of person that says any one way to God is the only way. I just don't believe it. I believe God is inside of us, and we connect to that consciously through our higher sense of self. And as we continue to practice that and understand it, and how do we live it? How do you know you're living the higher you? I say to people all the time, simply look across whoever you're around, and if they have a smile on their face because of you, then you're living the highest purpose for your day. Today, religion is more about your eternal life. I'm talking about today. I'm talking about tomorrow. When Avril and I started this whole process and started ProjectSmile.world, the website, he had a very passionate and powerful story that happened to him in high school. And he just knew many years ago, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, that he wanted to do something different out in the educational world. So when we came up with Project Smile, we came up with the whole idea of free education because we understand there's a whole world of people out there that just don't have the financial means. They just don't have the environment. Your current circumstance doesn't allow for education to truly move you to a different place. Well, that's why we created Project Smile. And then when you go there, you'll see, and we're revamping it as we're talking. We've got a new gentleman that's going to be working on it full time, Mitesh. And Mitesh is one of these people that literally, he's the guy that knows all about this. He knows how to make this process, make our websites even more favorable for people. And from that position, it's just going to help more and more people. And as we continue to expose what we're doing to the masses, we're becoming a true force. The smile. Some successes that we've had, close to 10,000 people now have downloaded something off the website. We literally are in that process of changing people's lives. Our last live stream had 44,000 people on it. And what does that mean? That in the world, on a global stage, we were somewhere between the 30th or the 40th largest live stream in the world. Each of you watching here today are part of creating something that's literally changing the world. At that position, you're doing something different. And how we end up creating an environment where we have donations that can truly help people is the more people that are made aware of this, the bigger we make it, the more people become aware. And people like Bronson and millions of people, they want to, and their way of showing the world how they love to give back is financially. We've been in the process of supporting 2 different orphanages. I tell the story quite frequently about the little girl, Patricia. And Patricia, she had broken her arm. She needed some care. If she didn't get the care, the end result could have been very dramatic. Well, I just got a picture of her the other day, videotaping of her coloring with that same hand. And from that place, the donation that I made months ago, it's just an everlasting experience of grace. It just feels so good to be able to do that. And I tell people all the time, when you're donating, when you're giving back, you move from gratitude to grace. And truly, when you're in that position of helping another, what you're doing is you're giving hope. You might be doing it through finances. You might be doing it through service. You might be doing it through empathy, through care. However you're doing it, the effect you're having on the other person is hope. You're raising their hope. And in that position, from that space, we are literally in the process of changing the world. I say it all the time, generation of change. Why do I say that? Because there's different things now that weren't there in the past. Technology wasn't there 20 years ago to bring fresh water to everybody in Africa. Technology wasn't there 20 years ago, 10 years ago, to bring a free website to the farthest reaches of the globe. Literally, it didn't exist. Investing in people is what we're about here at Project Smile. We've invested in one of our first orphans. I call him Brother Ben. And, this man is exactly what Bronson is talking about. Somebody who's lived a challenging world, and now he's in service. We invested in his juice business. Now he and his wife can sell juice, take care of their family, and feed 20 or 22 orphans. I mean, there's nothing better than that. At Project Smile, that's our goal, is to invest in people. A second group we work with, I've given them a little bit of money. We're helping them expand their farming so they can raise their own food. They took some of the extra that they had, they were able to sell a little bit, and they were able to buy clothing for their kids. And again, it's all about the service. It's all about the giving back. And how can each of you help this process? First off, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you get into our YouTube channel and you watch the videos that I create literally almost on a daily basis, you're going to hear this message over and over. And the more you hear it, the more things are going to wake up in you. I am not telling anybody anything. I'm not teaching anybody anything. I'm mirroring things, spiritual perspectives that people can remember because it's already in you. Well, if you get to our YouTube channel, and I always, the easiest way to get back to it is mrjoe.world. Click on mrjoe.world and subscribe as one of our YouTube subscribers. And watch all the videos. Watch the long videos. Rewatch this video. Send it out to people that you know. Put our videos on your social media if you really want to help and give back. That's how everybody on this call can give back. Keep growing this call. My goal is 1 billion smiles a month. 2 weeks ago, we had 40 some odd thousand people. I have no idea how many people are on this call today. I don't care if it's 100,000 or if it's 100 people. Everybody who's on the call, if you help me expand the call by getting more and more people on it, we're creating a global empire here called the Smile. And what is it? It's about creating a smile. And if I could see you in person, if I could hug your neck, first off, I would just say to all of you how much I love you. And I'm not kidding. You all feel like family to me. I can feel your presence. I literally can feel everybody on this call. And what I would be asking you is, how many smiles did you create this week? How many smiles did you create in your family? I hear you're in a challenging time. Well, the people around you are in a challenging time too. So not that we're going to admire the challenge, but we're going to lift ourselves beyond the challenge. Yes, your world might be in a tough spot, and that doesn't mean you can't be nice. It means you need to be even friendlier to people in the same challenging spot. You might be one of the orphans that are sitting here right now, and you're thinking to yourselves, well, you know what? I'm going to be here my rest of my life. No, you're not. Literally, there are thousands of people that have transcended their livelihoods, their young life, and then come back out as an adult doing things differently. We're all created in God's image. I remember how confusing that used to be. I used to say, I'm white, my best friend was black. I'm a man, the female I was dating at the time is a woman. I just couldn't figure that out. Well, what I learned over the years is that created in God's image, what it means is the spiritual sense of self, the physical sense of self, the spiritual. And from that place, we're all in the position of trying to live as that higher sense of self. How do you do it? How do you know you're living through your higher sense of self? You know you're living through your higher sense of self by creating a smile on somebody else's face. You're creating hope in somebody else's world. When we invested in the juice business for Mr. Ben, you should see their smiles. You should see their hope. Why? Because with a small amount of investment, now they're able to take their hard work, their passion, their dedication out into the streets and be empowered. They're selling juice, giving, people a smile from a great product. They're selling it reasonable. They're taking the profits, caring for themselves through empowerment, buying food for 20 other people, causing hope for those kids. And anything they might have left over, they're giving a little bit of it away on a daily basis. Empowerment through investment is truly what Project Smile is on the other side. We are going to be in and around more and more people that are going to be willing to support our financial side, which is investing in people, investing in the caregivers that have a true passion for giving back. Someday I'll have Mr. Ben on this program here because he too was an orphan 25 years ago, 20 years ago. Now he gives back because he knows what it was like. So in his darkest days, did he allow it to keep him down? No, he used the God of his understanding to keep moving forward. Understand this. God is in all of us, and God does love you, but love doesn't change your circumstance. Hard work does. Consistency does. Persistence does. I tell people all the time, God is there to love you. You already feel it. But what you need to be asking in prayer is, dear God, please give me the strength and courage to change my life. Please give me the strength and courage to give back to somebody else. Please give me the strength and courage to keep moving forward when it feels like I can barely get up. Ask for strength, and that divinity that's in you will give it to you. It might not be easy. It's not necessarily supposed to be easy. Why? Because when you're on the other side of your challenge, you're then going to be able to be from a real place of empathy and compassion when you're giving back to somebody who's in the challenge today. Ask for strength. Ask for courage. From a place of multidimensional being, we all have a higher sense of self, a human self, and an inner self. That inner self is the one that's going to be saying, I can't do this and I can't do that and I'm not worthy and no one loves me. It's simply not true. God loves you. God loves you. Bronson said it in his most challenging times. He realized that he wasn't alone. Now you're going to look out into your physical world and see challenge. I did. Years ago, I lived in an environment here in the U.S. on less than $3,000 a year. I lived, I ate, I did everything on less than $300 a month. And in our world, I was as close to homeless as homeless was going to be. A 2-inch mattress in an abandoned warehouse. That's where I lived. Did I know back then to ask for strength? No. Did I know back then that God was with me? No. But I knew something was helping me move forward. Today, I share with you in your darkest moments. Understand it's not God's job to rescue you out of the dark. It's God's job to give you the strength and courage to guide you out of the dark. God can only do for you what God can do through you. And when you understand that, the relationship between you and the power greater than you. Now, again, many of you on this call, you have a messenger in your world directly associated with your religion. Use that messenger. Use that essence to guide you today. Dear God, help me. And then whatever your messenger is, there's many beautiful men and women that have enlightened us over the years. My goal is to not tell you who your messenger might be, but to use that part, to use that faith to move yourself forward. And as you do, you're changing the world because you're changing you. How are we the generation of change? Technology is right now allowing me to talk to tens of thousands of people around the globe. Technology right now allows for more economic wealth than the world has ever known. And technology right now allows me to tell all of you that we are one. We are we. We're all connected from that same power inside us. And that's why I'm doing this. I want you to know that I see you, that I love you. And if I could hug each one of your necks individually, I would. I promise you I would. And my goal for each of you, especially people that are in the most challenging places in the world, pray for strength and courage. Give to somebody else every day. Tell Mr. Joe on my website how many smiles you created today. and keep moving your world in a different place to where someday you come to the United States, you knock on my door and you say, Mr. Joe, I was somebody that lived in a foreign country 10 years ago. I listened to the smile. I followed your direction. I found God. And today my world is in a different place. And then tell somebody else. You are a messenger of hope by sharing with people this live stream. You are a messenger of hope by being kind to somebody today. You are a messenger of hope by offering a smile to somebody, one smile at a time. And that's why we're here. So again, I thank you all. I love you all. And until next time, create a smile. We're back again September the 1st. Tell everybody you know. Join our Instagram. Find wherever you found this video, go back and become a subscriber on our YouTube channel. You want to help us? Get tens of thousands of people on our YouTube channel watching the videos. We have a huge opportunity to create an income stream through YouTube. We just need tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people watching our videos on a daily basis. And that income will go right back into the smile. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Know that I love you. Know that God loves you. And know that we'll be back in 2 weeks with another inspirational story. So until then, thank you, everybody. And God loves you all.
Thank you so much.